Have you ever felt the weight of a love that disappears into silence? That moment when the emptiness between two people seems to scream louder than any promise ever made? What few understand is that sometimes distance is not abandonment. It's a soul's cry for help. Carl Jung taught that true love doesn't just illuminate what is beautiful, but also reveals the deepest shadows. What if the man who pulls away is, in reality, battling an ancient fear? The fear of being consumed by his own desire? What looks like rejection might paradoxically be the purest sign of a heart that still beats for you, but that doesn't yet know how to exist in this storm of emotions. Why is it that the most intense connections are precisely the ones that awaken our most well-hidden demons? And what if that silence isn't about you, but about the invisible battle he's fighting within himself? The truth is, love that transforms requires courage. Courage to face not just the other person, but all the parts of ourselves that resist affection. And you? Are you ready to understand what his silence is really trying to say? When love awakens the inner monsters. What happens when a man finds himself face to face with a love so intense that it threatens to dismantle everything he believes himself to be? Jung reveals that, in such moments, the psyche switches into survival mode. He's not running from you. He's running from the parts of himself your love forces him to confront. Every man carries within him an unconscious feminine figure, the Anima, shaped by mothers, past loves, and even by societal ideals. When he falls in love, he projects this image onto you. You become a mirror of what he most desires, and also of what he most fears. That's where the conflict begins. How can he embrace something that simultaneously attracts and terrifies him? The shadow, the parts of himself he rejects, emerges like a thirsty monster. Vulnerability, dependence, fear of abandonment, feelings his masculinity has learned to silence. Distance then becomes a refuge. It's not weakness, it's the instinct to protect an identity that doesn't yet know how to be reborn. But there's beauty in this chaos, because only when love shakes these foundations can true transformation begin. His silence is not the end. It's a sign that something much deeper is at play. The invisible fear that divides two hearts. There is a fear deeper than rejection, the terror of disappearing into love. When a man starts to feel like he's dissolving in the relationship, his primal instinct triggers the alarm. It's not you he's rejecting. It's the ghost of his own identity fading in your arms. Think of a river afraid to meet the ocean. It longs for the vastness, but fears ceasing to be a river. That's how the male psyche reacts to true love. All his life he's been taught that strength means emotional independence. When his heart begins to beat in rhythm with yours, it feels like a threat to his very existence. The paradox is cruel. The stronger the bond, the more violent the panic of being swallowed by it. Silence then becomes an unconscious truce, a desperate way to remind himself, I still exist apart from you. But here's the secret few can see. Love doesn't erase identities. It expands them. The one who fears being lost is, in fact, one step away from being found. Fear is merely the gateway, the invisible armor that imprisons the male heart. From the very first stifled cry in childhood, many men learn a cruel lesson. To feel is to fail. This ancestral wound turns the chest into a fortress. Each suffocated emotion becomes another brick in the wall that separates the man from his own humanity. When love knocks on the door of that fortress, something extraordinary happens. The same hands that built those walls begin to tremble at the possibility of freedom. Vulnerability, as natural as breathing, becomes an internal battlefield. Every unshed tear, every choked-up "I love you" are silent screams from a soul that still believes surviving is more important than living. But here lies the divine irony. It is precisely through the cracks in that armor that the light enters. When a man allows love to reveal his fragilities, he is not surrendering. He is finally finding himself. Courage is not about having no fear, but about loving despite it. True masculine power isn't measured by the thickness of the armor, but by the ability to feel without ceasing to be. And perhaps this is the greatest act of revolution a man can commit: to trade the armor for an embrace, without guilt, without shame, when self-love is born from the ashes of abandonment. His silence echoes like an emptiness that seems to speak only of his absence. But what if this emptiness is actually revealing a sacred space, the one where you can finally hear yourself? The pain of abandonment is rarely about the one who left, but about the parts of ourselves we believe left with them. While he struggles between fear and desire, your journey is a different one: to discover that another's love was never the source, only the mirror. Every tear shed over his indifference carries a deeper question. What part of me still believes I need to be chosen in order to exist? Transformation begins when you realize you're holding two loose ends: his, which may never resolve, and yours, which waits patiently for attention. The miracle happens the moment you let go of one to hold the other with both hands. Here's the secret no one tells you. The love that heals is not the love you receive, but the love you choose to give yourself. And when that happens, something extraordinary arises. A woman who no longer waits to be seen in order to know she exists. The hidden portal in the emptiness. What you call abandonment may actually be a cosmic invitation to dive into deeper waters. His silence created an empty space, and it is precisely in this emptiness that your own answers begin to echo. While he gets lost in his internal labyrinths, life offers you a disguised gift: the chance to listen to yourself without interference. This forced pause is not a punishment, but a sacred altar where old beliefs can be transmuted. Every night you ask yourself, "Why doesn't he come for me?" contains a more powerful question. What am I avoiding finding in myself? Growth never comes from comfort. It is born in these uncomfortable intervals between one "I love you" and the next. When you stop trying to decipher his silence and begin listening to your own, something magical happens. The emptiness becomes fertile. The same hands that once knocked on closed doors now plant internal gardens. And the greatest paradox? The more you fill yourself, the less you need him to complete you. The love that transforms isn't the one that never leaves us, but the one that forces us to find ourselves. His silence may be the greatest blessing you have yet to recognize. The alchemy of the deepest encounter. True love was never about two bodies meeting, but two souls recognizing each other. When he ignores you, even though he loves you, he's revealing an ancestral truth. The greatest encounters happen first within ourselves. This isn't the end of love. It's its rebirth on a different frequency. Every separation carries a lesson. Your pain was not in vain. It carved out space within you that can now be filled with a more authentic presence. What seemed like rejection was, in truth, the universe whispering, "Grow beyond what you thought you could bear." Now you know. His silence was never about lack, but about fullness. About what had to be faced so that you could both emerge transformed. The love that's worth it is not the one that keeps us small, but the one that challenges us to expand. And when that understanding finally settles in, something miraculous happens. You stop waiting for him and begin to find yourself. In that sacred moment, the only love that truly matters is born, the one that begins and ends in you, but that can now embrace another without fear of getting lost. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, comment, and share. Thank you, and see you in the next video.